There's 20 cases in this?
Dang, okay.
Hello, my loves. Welcome back and welcome to the Lo-Fi Book Cafe. I am Shy and I am here to bring you my TBR for a brand new readathon that is going to be happening in the month of March. This is the Breezy Hollow Readathon, which is an Animal Crossing themed readathon, and I am so pumped because March is my birthday month and I want to fill myself with all of the joy and charm and just magic that Animal Crossing has been for me my entire life. I have played Animal Crossing since the GameCube version. I have had the GameCube version, then I had the DS version, then I didn't actually play the Wii version. Then I had the 3DS version, and now I am rocking my Switch. If you haven't heard, Animal Crossing is basically a delightful little life simulator where you live in a village surrounded by cute animals, right? And they're your neighbors. And it's just a very peaceful, relaxing game. You can garden, you can fish, you can decorate your house. And the newest installment, Animal Crossing New Horizons, is themed around an island that you get to kind of build and create from the ground up. So all of the prompts in this readathon kind of deal with setting up your island. The Breezy Hollow Readathon was created by Ashley's Reads, and she does a much better job explaining the rules of the readathon and everything. So I'm giving you a very basic overview of just what I plan on reading. But what is important to note is that there are two versions of the readathon depending on how you read, as well as what your month is kind of shaping up to be. So there's an easy version, which will basically have you reading 5 books, and there's an advanced version, which will have you reading 15. I am going to shoot for the advanced version, even though I don't think I've ever read 15 books a month in the 3 months I've been here. But I'm also hopeful because I am participating in the Cars Readathon Team Hostile Takeover Bank for the win. That is being put on by Katie, Mare, and Kelsey. So that's going to be the first week of March. So push that aside. I'm excited for that, but I'm going to be reading 3 books in the first week of March. So I'm hopeful that if I finish those books, then I can finish the rest through the rest of March. So we're going to go for 15 books, guys. You can do the prompts in any order, but I'm just going to go kind of from the top down. The very first prompt is island name. Any form of Animal Crossing you play starts with you naming your town, your village, your island, etc., right? So the goal of this prompt is to read a book that's the title starts with the same letter as your island, village, town, etc. And if you have never played Animal Crossing, then just to pick a book whose title starts with the same letter as your first name. My island is called Luna Bay, and so I will be reading Lore. This is a book that I don't know too much about, but the cover is really pretty, and I'm also reading it as a part of Mare Read's Buddy Readathon, or Buddy Read. She's reading this in March, and you can read it too, and there's a Discord, and it's a lot of fun, so join. Now, the next few prompts have to do with the types of villagers that you can encounter in Animal Crossing. The first villager prompt is Cranky, which is to read a book with the main character that's a little rough around the edges. I'm going to be reading Behind the Throne, which is the first book in the Indranan War trilogy. So the author actually ran a Twitter giveaway, and I won. So I got basically they have the first trilogy of books, and then they're coming out with a second trilogy of books. So I have the first 2 in the second trilogy, which is what I won in the giveaway. And I think you can read them separately, but it's kind of one of those things where you get more out of it if you read the first one first. So this is the first book in the first trilogy. The main character, Hale, is described as rebellious as Han Solo, as savvy as Leia, and as skilled as Rey. The next prompt is Jock, which is a character who either loves sports or is on a sports team, right? Something around there. So I am going to be reading the second volume of Check Please, which literally I read in one sitting, and I was like messaging Katie how emotional these boys made me. This is my son, Biddy. I love him so much. I love Jack so much. He's my other son. And this is just a beautiful, fluffy, queer hockey romance. It was originally a webcomic, so I believe everything is collected in just these 2 volumes. But I'm very excited to see my boys get their happy ending. Next up, we have a lazy villager, which is a main character who is an anti-hero. Now, if you have watched a single one of my videos, you are probably aware that I love the book Battle Royale. And this came into my life at just the right moment, as in I ordered it from Book Depository and it arrived. Battle Royale is what the Hunger Games tried to be, what the Hunger Games thought it was. But basically, it is a group of high school students, I think they may actually be like 9th graders, who have to fight to the death, right? And if you've read Hunger Games, again, this is where it started. I said what I said. Basically, you know, everything from a shrinking arena to having to form alliances, and there can only be one winner. And I just adore that book with all of my heart. So this is a kind of manga, not a spin-off, but basically it's 2 stories that happen within Battle Royale that don't really get a lot of attention. So this is like the full stories of what happens. So it's really cool. I'm really intrigued to see these kind of play out in Battle Royale, to kind of see the scenes fully play out. I do know one of the scenes, if you have read Battle Royale, is the lighthouse scene, which I think is probably one of the one of the most, I don't know if I can say the best scene, but like it's if you read Battle Royale, like I think the lighthouse scene is one of the scenes that stands out the most. Next up, we have a smug villager, which is a main character with a big ego. And for this one, I'm actually going to be pulling in another manga, which is Skip Beat. Now, this manga is very special because I bought it myself at the Scholastic Book Fair when I was in 4th grade. Why was this on sale at the Scholastic Book Fair when it's rated T for teen? I couldn't tell you, but I bought this when I was eight. This is Kyoko, the main character, and her boyfriend Sho is trying to become an idol in Japan, right? And he's the one with the big ego. And so he basically ends up breaking up with her, and she decides that the best way to get her revenge is to become an idol herself, right? And try and kind of take that away from him and get it first. Again, if you are doing the advanced version of the readathon, you'll read a book for all 4 of those prompts. If you are reading the easy version, you will pick one of those prompts to fulfill. The next prompt is normal, which is either a morally gray character or a human character with no powers in a superpower or magical themed world, right? So something along the lines, there's a lot of flexibility and a lot of room in those. So I'm going to be reading Harley Quinn Breaking Glass. This is a graphic novel retelling of Harley Quinn's origins, kind of as like a high schooler, and I'm really excited. I love Harley Quinn, if you couldn't tell, and I got this as a gift, and I am very excited. So Harley Quinn does not have superpowers in the sense of like shooting lasers or things. Like, she's a trained gymnast, she's a trained psychiatrist, right? Stuff like that. So I will be reading this. I'm trying not to end everything as I'm gonna read this book, but I don't know how else to end it. Next is Pepe, which is an extroverted main character. And just the way these prompts kind of lined up, I got a whole lot of graphic novels and manga in one go, but I'm going to be splitting these up throughout the month. So for my extroverted character, I'm going to be reading the Ace Attorney Phoenix Wright official case book. I picked this up at Half Price Books actually in my first video, but it's a few different cases of Phoenix Wright and his, gang. So Phoenix Wright was the reason I wanted to go to law school for 5 seconds, and then I enrolled in an intro to law class and I dropped it. As soon as the first class ended, I dropped it. So I will not be a lawyer. Sorry, Phoenix Wright, but I will still live vicariously through him. So Phoenix and Maya, who are right here, are the ones that I am considering the extroverted character, particularly Phoenix, my baby boy, my other baby boy. I have many baby boys. Snooty is a character who is obsessed with fashion or style. Originally, I was going to be reading the second trade paperback volume of Snot Girl. I read the first trade paperback volume, which was basically the first 5 issues. And I was gonna try and track down the second one, but I have issue 6 of Snot Girl. So I'm gonna read this because it's a book, you know, it's a comic, and life is short, right? And Snot Girl basically is about Lottie, Snotty Lottie. She is a fashion blogger, and she has allergies, mood, and she starts to take this new medicine, and right around the time that she's taking this new medicine, weird things start to happen to her. And she kind of becomes in the center of this murder mystery while she's also running her blog. I gave it 3.5 stars. And I'm still intrigued, like I'm still here. I'm down for the cause. There's also a really good playlist on Spotify created by Brian Lee O'Malley, and it's called Snotify. Sisterly, also called the Uchi villagers, are kind of like the older sister villagers, right? And so for this prompt, you will read a book where a main character has a younger sibling. So I am currently making my way through the series of unfortunate events series, and I'm on book number 5. I'm about to start book number 5, which is The Austere Academy. It follows the Baudelaire orphans, Violet, her younger brother Klaus, and her younger sister Sunny, after the death of their parents in a fire. If you do the easy version, pick one of the last 4 prompts I just listed. If you do the advanced one, all of them. Next up on our list is to pick a hemisphere, either Northern Hemisphere, which is a book set during the springtime, or Southern Hemisphere, which is a book set during the fall. If you're doing easy, you pick one. If you're doing advanced, you pick both. Sometimes books just don't mention what season they're in. And especially spring and fall, there just aren't that many unless it's like a book that takes place over the whole year. So if for springtime, you can pick a book that's set during the spring, or you can pick a cover or a book that just kind of gives you spring vibes. So if it's the name spring somewhere on the cover, if it's, you know, pastels and flowers, just kind of springtime things, right? So I'm picking Wild Beauty. I'm gonna rent this on Libby, so I don't have it with me. I don't have it yet. I know literally nothing about this book, but it has pretty flowers, and I like the author. Now for Southern Hemisphere, we have to pick a book set during the fall. So same thing, if you can't find a good fall book, you can pick kind of some darker colors, you know, think Halloween, think kind of dark colors, or a book with leaves on the front. So I'm going to be reading A Great and Terrible Beauty. I was supposed to read this back in December, and I sure didn't. I haven't read this since I was like in middle school. And it takes place in August. Well, it takes place in June, and then it says 2 months later, so I'm like, August, fall, yeah. So this story is about Gemma Doyle. She gets sent to this academy after her mom dies. Spoiler alert, but it's the first chapter. It's like the prologue. And basically she kind of starts having these weird visions, and then it ends up that this red guy is tracking her, and he's like, don't have those visions. And she's like, all right, we have picked our hemisphere, we have picked our villagers, we have picked our island, and now it is time to pick one of the most important facets of your Animal Crossing island / village / town, which is
the fruit.
The fruit is randomly generated. You get one of 5 fruits, being pears, apples, cherries, peaches, or oranges. You would seriously like refresh until you got the fruit that you wanted, and nobody liked pears, which makes no sense to me. I love pears. Personally, I don't like oranges. I'm not a citrus person. I don't like oranges. But I had oranges in one of my villages, and it was fine because you can just get fruit from other people and have, so like right now I have an orchard of all the fruits. If you do the easy version, you pick one fruit, think you get it by now. If you do the advanced one, you pick all of them. And luckily, apples and cherries are going to be combined in this one, which as you will see in just a second. So you're only going to have to do 4 if you do the advanced version. But the first prompt, let's go with pears, which is to read a book with a green or mostly green cover. So this can be a book that is a totally green cover. It can be a book with a green font. It can be a book where green, like the word green is on it, or the color green is prominently featured. So I'm going with the original baby boy, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. My goal is to make it through this series and the Heroes of Olympus series by the end of the year. So I want to read Percy, and as you can see, there is some green in the corner here. It's like half the book, and I think the original copy is also green. Like the original cover is also green, but I'm counting this as green because why wouldn't I? Because it's green. You have most likely heard his name if you have been here on BookTube or on Book Twitter or like in a library. You've probably maybe he's popped up. Wherever you have accessed books in your life, you've probably at least heard of Percy Jackson. But if not, Percy Jackson realizes that he is a demigod. He's got to save the world. I have to get my dog. Next up, we have cherries and apples. So they are the same prompt because you are going to read a book that is red. I've been putting it off, but I will finally be reading Battle Royale. Because I picked up the remixed version. It's so beautiful. I love this, but this is so beautiful. And I'm so excited. So basically, Battle Royale, I explained it earlier, but it was written originally in Japanese. This was the original translation, and this was a new anniversary translation. And this translation is a little blocky. It's pretty much like a direct word-for-word translation, which sometimes, if you've ever read a translated work, sometimes it just doesn't flow well. And so the remix version is the exact same work, but it's a new translation, and it's kind of, the sentences are kind of changed a little bit. So it's the same sentence, but written in a way that kind of flows a little bit better. So the word on the street is that this translation is far superior, which I'm excited because this, again, is just like my ride or die book. Next up is going to be oranges. As you can tell, an orange cover. So I will be reading I Was Born for this. This is part of the buddy read that Katie and I will be doing, that I told her that I got all the books and then didn't tell her anything after that in terms of when we were going to be reading them or decided anything. So hey Katie, I'm reading this month. Just go check out Katie's video on the entire Alice Osman verse. I'll link that video down below. Just go watch her explanation. I can't even, just go watch what she says. Just go watch the video. Just go watch it. Just go watch it. The last cover is Peaches, which is a book with a pink cover. Now, let me explain. I'm gonna be reading the Black Veins. First of all, there is pink. But secondly, I'm going off of the far superior anniversary cover edition, which is pink, right? So it's the exact same book, just with a different cover. So I'm gonna count it because I'm also reading this for the Cars Readathon. So I cannot squeeze the 16th book into March. So we're going with this one. But basically, the Black Veins is the no romance, found family, road trip book of your dreams. This has been the Animal Crossing Breezy Hollow Readathon, my TBR for it. I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Ashley, for setting this up. And let me know if you're going to participate, if you're doing any of the versions, or if you need help with like TBR recommendations. I love helping people make TBRs because I get excited because I can find books that I like to read and want to read too. So if you are a fan of Animal Crossing, also let me know. Come visit my island on the Switch. It's under construction, but you can come by. And if you need fruit, I have a whole orchard. And I have a lot of DIY recipes that are taking up some space. So if you need that, like if you need a cutting board or if you need the ironwood dresser, just let me know. Tiny library, I'm your girl. Let me know if you're gonna be doing this. Come do it with me. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, friends.